Hello students, I am Sai Baba here. So in the previous class, I have started discussing the terms quasi-static process and reversible process. So then in this class, we are going to also discuss about the term heat engine and efficiency of heat engine and about Carnot's ideal heat engine. Already I have discussed about the cyclic process. Now, according to law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another form. So I advise the students to concentrate, to listen to the discussion or explanation which I am giving at present. So don't write running notes when I am discussing. I will be showing you the notes later. So according to law of conservation of energy can neither be created nor destroyed, can only be converted into one form into another form. So you can find good number of examples and problems where given quantity of mechanical work, a given quantity of mechanical work or energy may be completely converted into heat energy. While discussing some problems in the assignment in thermodynamics, in the first set of problems, I will be discussing some problems later in the assignment in thermodynamics, where you have examples of complete conversion of mechanical work or mechanical energy to heat. For example, a fast-moving bullet is suddenly stopped. All the kinetic energy lost gets converted into heat energy. And part of the heat energy may be absorbed by the bullet and part of the heat energy may be given to the surroundings, lost to surroundings. Due to which temperature of the bullet increases and temperature of surroundings also may change. If a body is allowed to fall freely under gravity from certain height, the decrease in gravitational potential energy first changes into kinetic energy. The body stops after striking the ground. Then all the mechanical energy lost or kinetic energy lost gets converted into heat energy. So like that you find number of examples where a given quantity of mechanical work or mechanical energy gets converted into heat energy. Whereas the converse is not possible. That means you cannot convert a given quantity of heat energy completely into work in practice. So in practice, you cannot convert a given quantity of heat energy completely into work. So that will be one may get doubt why given quantity of heat cannot be completely converted into work. So that can be understood a bit later, more clearly after completing the discussion about heat engines. So next I am going to discuss about the heat engines which works in a cyclic process. Heat engine is a device which converts heat continuously into work. Heat engine is a device in which a substance called working substance undergoes cycle of processes so that during each cycle heat gets converted into work. A part of the heat energy absorbed by the working substance gets converted into work. So after completing the discussion about the heat engine and Carnot's ideal heat engine, then I will be able to give you the explanation why it's not possible to convert a given quantity of heat completely into work. So you have to definitely remember this. I will be showing all the conclusion systematic way in the notes later. What is the conclusion? That is a given quantity of mechanical work or mechanical energy can be completely converted into heat energy. Whereas the converse is not possible. That means a given quantity of heat cannot be completely converted into work. So I am going to discuss about heat engine, then about the Carnot's ideal heat engine. So heat engine is a device which works in a cyclic process. Heat engine is a device which works in a cyclic process so that it converts heat into work. As I discussed earlier, when a system undergoes cycle of processes so that it returns to the original state. That means the system undergoes one or more processes so that system passes from one state, one thermodynamic equilibrium state to another thermodynamic equilibrium state B. Then the system returns back from state B to the state A by one or other process. The system finally returns to the initial state, then net change in energy for the complete cycle will be 0. So when you apply first law of thermodynamics for a cyclic process, we can say that net amount of work done by the system in a cycle, same as the net quantity of heat and energy absorbed by the system during the cycle. So heat engine is a device which works in a cyclic process. The heat engine mainly consists of three parts. One part, a hot body or hot reservoir at a constant higher temperature T1, which has large thermal capacity. Then a cold body or cold reservoir at a constant called sink at a constant lower temperature T2, and a substance or system which undergoes the cyclic process that we call working substance. We are drawing a schematic diagram. The working substance absorbs certain amount of heat energy Q1 from the hot body or hot reservoir at a constant higher temperature T1, and part of this heat is converted into work denoted by W, and rest of the heat is rejected into the cold body at constant lower temperature T2. That means as the system undergoes cycle, net quantity of heat energy absorbed by the system during the cycle is Q1 plus minus Q2, which is converted into work in each cycle. So net work done by the working substance during each cycle is Q1 minus Q2. The thermal efficiency So thermal efficiency of a heat engine can be defined as the fraction of the heat taken from the source, which is actually converted to work. That means a heat engine is said to be more efficient if it is able to convert a larger fraction or larger part of the heat Q1 into work. A heat engine is said to be more efficient if it is able to convert a greater fraction or greater part of the heat Q1 taken in from the source into work. So thermal efficiency of a heat engine defined as the rate of the work done by the working substance during each cycle and the heat absorbed by the working substance from the source during each cycle. Or you can write Q1 minus Q2 by Q1. This you can write Q1 by Q1 minus Q2 by Q1. So thermal efficiency of a heat engine which works in a cyclic process, you can write given by E equal to minus Q2 by Q1. So if you want to calculate the percentage efficiency, you have to multiply with 100. So next I am going to show you the notes for whatever little I have discussed so far about reversible process and heat engine. Those who are writing the notes, please get ready with your notebook and pen. So already I have shown you these definitions in the previous class. Again, I am showing the same definitions in this class. In case you have not copied these definitions, you please copy these definitions. You can take a pause and copy these definitions. I have already discussed the definition for quasi-static process, then reversible process. So in case you have not copied these definitions, please take a pause and copy these definitions. So next, I am going to show you the conditions of once again I will read the definition for reversible process. So a reversible process is one which can be reversed in such a way that all changes taking place in the direct process are exactly repeated in the inverse order and opposite sense, and no changes are left in any of the bodies taking part in the process or in the surroundings. So next I am going to show you the conditions that must be fulfilled to achieve reversible process in practice. So look at the conditions of reversibility. So a process can be reversible only when it satisfies two conditions. First condition is dissipative forces such as friction, viscosity, inelasticity, electrical resistance, magnetic hysteresis, etc. must be completely absent. That is the first condition. Because if dissipative forces like friction, viscosity, etc. are present, then a part of the initial interenergy of system may be lost during the direct process. Then you try to reverse the process. Again, some more energy may be lost. So it cannot return the system. That means when the system completes cyclic process, it cannot return to the initial state complete. It will not, because there may be a loss in the energy interenergy of system. Will be a loss in the interenergy of system if dissipative forces are present. Then second condition is that the process must be quasi-static. So these two are the conditions for a process to be reversible. And the another conclusion I told you, which you have to remember for the time being, later you get the more clear explanation for this conclusion after completing the discussion about heat engines. The conclusion is complete conversion of work into heat. That is, we can convert a given quantity of work completely to heat. The reverse process is, however, not possible. We cannot make a device by which given amount of work can be completely converted into, given amount of heat can be completely converted into work. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes. Even if you are not writing the notes, please take a pause and go through this, read this. So I am going to show the continuation to this. Next, heat engine. So I am first giving you a definition for heat engine. Any cyclic device by which heat is converted into mechanical work is called a heat engine. You have shown the schematic diagram for the heat engine. There are three main parts in an engine: a hot body called source, a working substance, and a cold body called sink. The working substance takes in heat from the source, converts a part of it into useful work, and gives out the rest to the sink. This series of processes is called a cycle. Since the working substance returns to its original state. Come on, those who are copying the notes, please take a pause and copy the notes. You can put an arrow here like this, copy the diagram also. The working substance takes heat Q1 from the hot source substance, converts part of this heat into work during each cycle. The remaining part of the heat is rejected to the sink or cold body at lower temperature. Please, those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes, including the diagram. Particularly those who are in junior intermediate, I advise them to write the notes. It is required for your board exam also. So next I am going to show the notes continuation to this. This is shown in the figure. By repeating the same cycle over and over again, work can be continuously obtained. Suppose the working substance takes in an amount of heat Q1 from the source and gives out an amount Q2 to the sink. Suppose W is the amount of work obtained, of course, in each cycle. The net amount of heat absorbed by substance in each cycle is Q1 minus Q2. Which has been actually converted into work. Applying first law of thermodynamics to one complete cycle, as I told, net heat absorbed by system is equal to work done by the system in each cycle. We get Q1 minus Q2 equal to W. Come on, please take a pause and finish writing these notes up to here. So I am going to show the notes continuation to this next slide. Thermal efficiency. The thermal efficiency of an engine is defined as the ratio of the work obtained to the heat taken in from the source. That is E equal W by Q1. W equal Q1 minus Q2. So Q1 minus Q2 divided by Q1. Or you can write 1 minus Q2 by Q1. So Carnot's heat engine. So next I am going to discuss about Carnot's heat engine. You please stop writing the notes after you have finished writing up to here. Now see, I am going to discuss about Carnot's heat engine. You please stop writing and concentrate to listen You please stop writing and concentrate to listen. I will show you the notes for this Carnot heat engine later. First, you concentrate to listen. So, a scientist by the name Carnot has developed a plan of ideal heat engine. The ideal heat engine means a heat engine which has the maximum possible thermal efficiency for given temperatures T1, T2 of source and sink. Ideal heat engine means the heat engine which has maximum possible thermal efficiency for given temperature T1, T2 of the source and sink. So Carnot developed a theoretical plan of ideal heat engines, which is called Carnot's heat engine. So the substance called working substance undergoes a cycle of processes in this Carnot's heat engine, so that during each cycle, same fraction of heat absorbed from source gets converted into work. So there are the important parts of the Carnot heat engine is a hot reservoir of infinitely large thermal capacity at constant higher temperature T1, which is called source. A hot body or hot reservoir of infinitely large thermal capacity at constant higher temperature T1. Why we should say in very large thermal capacity? What do you mean by saying large thermal capacity? Why it should have large thermal capacity? One may get a doubt. See, quantity of heat energy lost by a body when its temperature falls is equal to mass of the body into specific or thermal capacity of the body into fall in temperature or decrease in temperature. So decrease in temperature or fall in temperature of a body when it loses some heat without change of state is equal to quantity of heat lost by thermal capacity. So if thermal capacity is very large, implies that there will not be any fall in temperature, or there will be negligible change or fall in temperature of the source. When the source loses some amount of heat, Q1, during each cycle. So we are discussing the important main parts of the heat engine, Carnot heat engine. So a hot body, first the Carnot heat engine must contain a hot body or a hot reservoir at constant higher temperature T1 of the source, which we call source here, which has infinite large thermal capacity. So a hot body of infinite large thermal capacity called source at constant temperature T1 of source is required. Then a cold body or cold reservoir at a constant called sink, which has infinitely large thermal capacity at constant temperature T2. So if the thermal capacity is large, then the rise in temperature of the sink when it absorbs an amount of heat Q2 is equal to heat Q2 by thermal capacity of the sink. But if thermal capacity of sink is infinity, then rise in temperature of sink when heat is given to the sink will be 0. So very large thermal capacity implies that in spite of some transfer of heat to the sink by the working substance during each cycle, temperature of sink can be assumed to be constant at T2. Then in insulating heating, insulating means heat insulating stand So I am discussing the important parts of the Carnot heat engine. Then for this, first we should have a hot body or hot reservoir of infinitely large thermal capacity at constant temperature T1. A cold body or cold reservoir of infinitely large thermal capacity at constant lower temperature T2, which is called sink, and a heat insulating stand, adiabatic surface. Then a working substance is required to carry out the cyclic process. So then there must be a working substance. The working substance in the Carnot heat engine, the working substance is an ideal gas taken in a cylinder. The cylinder is provided with a frictionless movable piston. So Carnot heat engine consists of these four parts. One is a hot body or hot reservoir at constant higher temperature T1. All of you please concentrate only to just to listen. I will show you the notes separately. At constant higher temperature T1 with very large thermal capacity, so that it is able to supply heat energy at constant temperature T1. Another cold body or cold reservoir at constant lower temperature T2, which has very large thermal capacity, so that its temperature T2 can be assumed to be constant, even if it receives some heat during each cycle. And a heat insulating pad or stand or adiabatic surface to carry out adiabatic process. And there must be a working substance. The ideal gas is taken as working substance in Carnot heat engine, which is taken in a cylinder with frictionless movable piston. So weights can be placed on the piston and which can be increased to change the pressure of the gas, which can be changed. The weights on the piston can be altered, and the cylinder can be moved. The working substance can be transferred from one of these from source to sink or to insulating stand without performing any work on the working substance. So the Carnot plan of ideal heat engine, the working substance will undergo 4 processes, and these processes can be shown in the indicator diagram. That is a graph of pressure along y-axis with volume along x-axis we call indicator diagram. First, the cylinder containing the gas is kept in thermal contact with the source at temperature T1, so that and weights on the piston are slowly decreased so that the gas expands isothermal at constant temperature T1. During isothermal process, as I discussed in the past, the pressure volume graph or PV graph will be a rectangular hyperbola. So the line, the curve AB, it's not a line, it will be a curve. It will be a rectangular hyperbola. A represents the initial state of the gas or working substance, where pressure is suppose P1, volume is V1 or VA. Pressure is P1 or PA, volume is V1 or VA. At the point V, pressure is P2 or PB, volume is V2 or VB. So the gas is expanded isothermally. By decreasing weights on the piston so that until the state B is reached from state B. Next, the cylinder containing the gas, this is isothermal expansion. During this isothermal expansion, amount of heat Q1 is absorbed by the working substance from the source. This Q1 can be calculated as I already explained earlier about isothermal process. The heat absorbed by the ideal gas during the isothermal expansion, same as the work done by the gas during the isothermal expansion. In isothermal process, change in enthalpy will be 0. Heat energy absorbed by the gas in isothermal expansion from the source, same as the work done by the gas during the expansion from A to B. Work done by the ideal gas during isothermal process is given by nu T by log to the base C ratio of final volume to initial volume, V2 by V1 or VB by VA. The temperature of source is constant at T1. Next, the cylinder containing the gas is placed on the insulating stand and weights on the piston are further decreased so that the gas is again slowly expanded. Remember that each process in the Carnot's plan of heat engine is a reversible process and each process is a quasi-static process. And each process is assumed to be carried out very, very slowly. So the gas is next expanded adiabatically. That means the cylinder containing the gas is placed on insulating stand so that no heat transfer takes place between the gas and the stand surroundings. The gas is allowed to expand until the temperature of gas falls to T2, which is the temperature of sink. The state of the gas at the end of adiabatic expansion is denoted by C. C dash is the projection of the point C on x-axis. B dash is the projection of the point B on x-axis. A dash is the projection of the point A on x-axis. So the curve BC represents the adiabatic expansion of the gas when the gas is kept in the cylinder containing the gas is kept in contact with the insulating stand. So temperature of the gas falls during the adiabatic expansion from T1 to T2, where T2 is the temperature of sink. Then the cylinder containing the gas is next kept on the thermal contact, perfect thermal contact with sink. Then the weights on the piston are slowly increased so that the gas gets compressed isothermally at constant temperature T2 of the sink. Until some point D is reached. The curve CD represents the isothermal compression. Let D dash be the projection of the point D on volume axis or x-axis. During this isothermal compression, work is done on the gas and heat energy lost by the gas to the sink. As I explained earlier, isothermal process. If you want to again go through that class for isothermal process. Whatever work is done on the gas during isothermal compression will be equal to the heat energy lost by the gas to the surroundings. That means work done on the gas during the isothermal process is equal to the heat lost to surroundings. So Q2 is the heat given to the sink or lost by the system during the isothermal compression. So heat in isothermal process, delta Q is 0 from first law of thermodynamics, where delta Q is equal to delta U plus work done. So in the process CD, shown in the indicated diagram, delta Q, heat energy is lost by the gas, so heat energy absorbed, delta Q will be negative or minus Q2 you can write. Delta U 0. So work done in the process from C to D. Using the same formula for work done in the isothermal process. Nu or temperature of the gas is constant at T2. Log to the BC, final volume at D divided by initial volume at C. So if you multiply the equation with -1, you can write Q2 equal to, I'm continuing this working here. Please don't write running notes when I'm explaining. I'll show you the notes separately. Minus nu R T2 log to the BC volume at D divided by volume at C, or which if we carry negative sign inside, nu R T2 log to the BC volume at C by volume at D, or Q2 can be written as nu R T2 log to the BC, volume at C is V3, suppose volume at D is V4. Okay. Then the gas is finally again kept on the insulating stand, and the gas is again compressed by increasing the weights on the piston further adiabatically until in adiabatic compression of the gas, temperature of the gas increases as I explained earlier. So the gas, the cylinder containing the gas is next again placed on the insulating stand, and the gas in the cylinder is slowly compressed by increasing the weights on the piston until the temperature of the gas again rises back to the original value T1, so that the gas ultimately returns to the original state A at the beginning of cycle, so that the cycle is completed. So during this adiabatic process, no heat is lost or gained by the gas. Now see, work done by the gas in the adiabatic process, as explained earlier, I have discussed in the past, is given by, now we are discussing the calculation of thermal efficiency, for which you have to find the ratio of Q2 by Q1. Work done in adiabatic process is given by nu into R into Ti minus Tf by gamma minus 1. So work done in the adiabatic process from B to C. Nu R into temperature at C is initial temperature at B. That is T1. Final temperature is final temperature at C, that is T2 by gamma minus 1. Work done by the gas in the adiabatic process from D to A. For the process D to A, initial temperature at D. Temperature at D is T2. Temperature at A is T1. Can observe that these two works, if you add these two, that is work done in the process D to A plus work done in the process B to C, that will be 0. Net work done by the gas during the adiabatic processes is 0. Net work done by the gas in the adiabatic processes is 0. Therefore, net work done for a complete cycle, as I told you, can be written as Q1 minus Q2. If you divide Q1 with Q2, new R gets cancelled. So as I discussing, Q1 represents the amount of heat absorbed in isothermal expansion represented by the curve AB. That is equal to work done in isothermal expansion is equal to URT to log to the basic final volume at B divided by initial volume at A. Final volume at B is V2, initial volume at A is V1. So in the isothermal compression C2D, the heat absorbed by system in the or gas in isothermal process in general is equal to work done by the gas. Heat absorbed can be as minus Q2 in the process C2D. Work done by the gas in the process C2D is nu RT2 log to the basic final volume at D divided by initial volume at C. Or nu RT2 into V4 by V. You multiply with minus sign. You can write Q2 can be done nu RT2 log to the basic V3 by V4. To divide Q1 with Q2. Q1 by Q2 equal to nu R T1 by nu R T2 log to the BC V2 by V1 divided by log to the BC V3 by V4. Now the points B and C lie on the adiabatic curve. In the adiabatic process, TV per gamma minus 1 is constant in the adiabatic process. So for adiabatic curve BC, you can write temperature at C is T2, volume at C is V3. Temperature at B is T1, volume at B is V2. For the adiabatic process dA, volume at D is T2, volume at, temperature at D is T2, volume at D is V4. For the adiabatic process dA, we are using this relation TV per gamma minus 1 is constant. And at point A on the curve, temperature is T1, volume is V1. So if you divide this equation with this, so you get V3 by V4 power gamma minus 1 is equal to V2 by V1 power gamma minus 1. So if you divide the powers with gamma minus 1, you get V3 by V4 will be same as V2 by V1. So V3 by V4 will be same as V2 by V1. Therefore, log V3 by V4 will be same as log V2 by V1 get cancelled. Nu R can be cancelled. So you can get Q2 by Q1. Finally, you can conclude that Q2 by Q1. All this calculation is required only if you are asked to derive the formula for thermal efficiency of a Carnot heat engine in long answer question. If you are given in the board exam, you have to write all this working. But anyhow, I will be showing you the notes in a more systematic way as required for your preparation of board exams for Carnot heat engine, which can be expected for long answer question. It is given 2014 intermediate public exam in Andhra Pradesh. Also for long answer question for Carnot heat engine, Carnot cycle. I am going to show the notes in a systematic way. Those who are writing the notes, please get ready with your notebook and pen. I am going to show you the notes for Carnot heat engine. Even though you are not writing the notes, please look at the screen and go through the summary of the discussion I have done for Carnot heat engine. I mean systematic notes for Carnot heat engine, which is particularly required for the preparation of your board exam. I am starting this discussion from Carnot heat engine from here again. I'm going to read from here up to here already. I've shown you the notes, the previous slide. Carnot developed a plan of an idealized heat engine, free from all the imperfectness of an actual engine. As shown in the figure, Carnot engine consists of 4 components. 1. A cylinder with perfectly heat insulating walls but perfectly conducting base, and closed with a tight fitting, perfectly insulating and frictionless piston. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes. I am going to show the next slide, that is a continuation to this. Then a fixed mass of a gas within brackets working substance filled in the cylinder, and some weights are placed on the piston of cylinder. Second part, a hot body of infinitely large heat capacity at a constant temperature T1 serving as source. 3. A cold body of infinitely large heat capacity at a constant temperature T2 serving as sink. 4. A perfectly heat insulating stand. The cylinder may be placed on any of 3 bodies, 2, 3, and 4, and may be moved from one to the other without doing any work on the gas. Come on, take a pause and finish writing the notes up here. I am going to show the continuation to this. The working substance is imagined to go through a cycle of 4 processes known as the Carnot cycle. Suppose it is in the initial state represented by the point on the PV diagram. Copy the figure. Take a pause and finish writing, copying the figure. I am going to show the next. Process 1. The cylinder is put on the source and weights on the piston are removed in infinitely small steps. The working substance does expand infinitely slowly, doing work in raising the piston. During this process, the substance takes heat from the source by conduction through the base. The expansion is isothermal. It is continued until the state represented by the point B is reached. The curve AB represents the isothermal expansion of the substance at constant temperature T1 of source. Come on, copy the graph. Take a pause, please copy the graph. Process 2. The cylinder is put on heat insulating stand, and by further removing the weights of the piston, the substance is further expanded. This expansion is adiabatic because no heat can leave or enter the substance through the insulating cylinder. The substance does work in rising the piston and its temperature falls. The expansion is continued until the temperature falls T2, which is the temperature of sink. It is represented by the curve BC. So I will continue this discussion notes in my next class. Please finish writing the notes up to here.